What's up? What's up? What's up? Hopefully, you guys had a chance to catch that last video. Oh, by the way, excuse my manners. Welcome back. I've actually changed the channel name to Ken the Godson. I think that sounds a little better. That just came to me when I was actually freshening up the other day, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and change this. So I wasn't actually gonna make a video tonight. I've had a few ideas that I've wanted to kind of make, and I was actually going to do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, so Good Friday. Thought it'd be a good time to actually do two videos. I was going to do a video reacting to the Smoke Show through Kevin Samuels, and then I was also going to do a follow up video on a topic that I do want to discuss. But before I do that, though, I actually came across one of my friend's videos. I've actually known him for quite a while. He's the Actualized Man is what he calls himself, but I've known him since middle school, I believe. I know him by Stan. I don't know if he wants to give his government name out, so I won't do all that. So I always call him Stan. You call him Actualized Man. But I came across this video from another video that he had posted, and I was kind of looking at this video, and I'm like, you know what? I think this will be a good video to do a reaction to. So I got to about 6 minutes, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewind it. And then we'll just go from there. So I'll put some headphones on for y'all real quick, and hopefully everything goes good from there. I think the audio and everything's set up correctly, so it should be good to go there. And yeah, cool. All right, so get some water going on here. So I got the Fiji water here. My voice doesn't get too hoarse or anything like that. And then what I like to do, I like these little. I've been y'all can see them in the camera or whatever. I would go to Wally World. That's Walmart for the people that don't know. Get these little drink enhancers or whatever. I've been using these a lot lately because I've been drinking a little bit more energy drinks, but I think those dehydrate you, so I'd be able to rehydrate myself and make sure that I'm staying on point and everything. I use these things here. I like to get the ones that are supposedly supposed to be like energizing and everything like that. So let's see how they work. I like how they taste and stuff too. So, and they don't. There's no calories or anything in this either, so helps keep my calories down and helps with making sure that my dieting and weight loss stays on track. So go ahead and do that. Always do a couple squirts. I don't like too much flavor. This is in all of my drinks, so even when I go to get Gatorade and stuff like that, I usually water stuff down because that's just how I like my drinks. I don't like too much flavor, if that makes any sense. So go ahead and get us a real quick shake, and let's get to reacting. Get a quick drink. Always good stuff there. Things falling on my table because I got this little. I'm using, like for my setup, I'm using this mainstays. You know, I love Wally World. Using this mainstays table that's like a little plastic thing. It's starting to kind of cave in for me resting on it so much, I think. So, but whatever. Anyway, let's go ahead and restart this video real quick. And let's. I'm just gonna get my ideas and stuff on the stuff and just react to it. So.
I recently saw a documentary called Shy Guys, or was it Shy Boys? It was Shy Guys, Shy Boys, something like that. And then I found it kind of interesting. There was a guy called Advanced, and he was basically a normal guy that, you know, he's basically a normal guy who identifies as an incel because he's approached over 3,000 women. I don't know about those numbers for real because that seems like a really big number. But anyway, he says that he's approached over 3,000 women and he's been rejected 3,000 times, which is like, god damn, man, like, jeez. So, but anyway,
Let me pause this real quick.
uh,
Let me talk about this real quick. Incels. Incels, incels, incels. What is an incel? So incel stands for involuntary celibate. Fun fact, I was actually called an incel by a person who I just, from a comment that I had given off, which looking back I could see why I would come off that way, that I'm an incel. I'm not. I've got 2 kids or whatever. But incel, again, stands for involuntary celibate, meaning that a lot of these guys have pretty much just accepted that they can't get laid, and they can't get laid usually has to do with be somehow having to do with the woman or something being wrong with the woman. At least that's just how I've seen most of these incel videos and stuff like that, and ran into it. It's usually they'll say something like, you know, and I think he speaks onto this. They've talked to so X amount of women, and all of those women said no. So they start to usually get kind of bitter towards the women because they're being rejected, and a lot of the times instead of them doing any type of self-reflection, so to say, it's the woman's fault. And a lot of these guys they're not simps, because the thing about a simp is a very manipulative person, whereas an incel is they're not being manipulative. Like, they're being real. They're not being fake. They're being who they are. They just simply don't attract women. Oh, and I wanted to touch on this as well here, and I'm probably going to get into this maybe a little bit later in the video if Stan gets into it. I've talked about the whole MGTOW thing too, because I feel like incels and MGTOWs they're, to me, almost interlinked with one another. And that's why I said when I went kind of on my path of self-discovery and re-self-discovery and stuff like that, I almost went down the path of the whole MGTOW thing until I really got into what their philosophies and stuff were. And MGTOW, if you guys don't know, it stands for Men Going Their Own Way. MGTOW, MGTOW, Men Going Their Own Way, which basically just means they're almost like they're almost like the anti-feminist. Does that make sense? To where they don't think that they really need women. They see kind of what their purpose is, but they don't believe that their purpose has anything to do with a man's purpose. That's kind of how I get out of the MGTOW thing. And so, like, a MGTOW thing would be something like, it just stands for Men Going Their Own Way. It means that they're they're usually not looking to get in any type of relationship with a woman or anything like that. And if sex is involved, it's usually just a transactional type of thing. Those are the type of guys that all they're looking for are hookers and stuff like that. But as far as like developing any type of relationship or anything like that, they usually, well, they don't see any purpose in doing that. So I got away from that because I just feel like incels and the MGTOW, I feel like again they're very interlinked with one another. Anyway, let's get back to the video. I don't want to make this an excessively long video at all.
So
So,
I edited uh, a video that has clips of him and the things that he said in that short documentary, and I noticed that the people who are finding the video are incels. Uh, and here's the thing: there's nothing wrong with being an incel. However, I'm gonna give you something that might be good or bad news. Um, for starters, I feel like his mindset is a perfect view into the mind of incels. And I'm gonna basically right now I'm gonna point out a key issue with incel logic, which is that there are factors about you that are unchangeable that are preventing you from getting laid. And quite frankly, that's bullshit. Like, that's just bullshit. Like, there's no other way to describe it. Like, that's bullshit. And I'm gonna explain to you why. Um, women women are really interesting in that women are not visual creatures. Trust me. Women are not visual creatures. They're not. Men are visual creatures. We like what we see. And that's how we choose. That's how we choose who we think is attractive and shit like that. Usually, 99% of the time. Well, women are not actually visual. Women are emotional. So that means they don't use logic to make decisions about stuff like that. So,
so, so let's want to kind of follow up on this. I agree 100% with Stan on here. Women, the vast majority of women are emotional, while the vast majority of men are visual, especially when it comes to the whole sexual market and stuff like that. So, and I just want to give more an example of this. A lot of the times when you're talking with a woman or having a discussion like I've had with men before, a lot of the times they'll tell you, I feel this way, or I feel this way, or I feel like this, or I feel like that. And that's because that's how they interpret the world and everything like that. And so what Stan is kind of getting here, and he goes more into this. Like I said, I got to 6 minutes, but what he's basically saying is like how you, if you're trying to get a woman, ultimately your end goal is trying to get laid, trying to get sex, trying to get pussy, whatever. If you're trying to get a woman, the way that you make her feel is going to be a lot more productive than how she actually initially thinks of you by just looking at you. So, yes, a woman obviously does have her what she likes visually and everything like that, but this is why the ugly guy at the office, and I'm just using an example here. So if you never worked in corporate America, you might not understand this. But okay, I could just take that office. The ugly guy that's at the office, or at like the crew member from McDonald's or whatever fast food restaurant or whatever, he can get laid. While let me go into that a little bit more, because I'm kind of getting sidetracked. The reason why that ugly person at the office can get laid is because they usually start to they start talking and stuff like that, and that guy usually starts to make that woman feel a certain way. She might not have been attracted to him physically at first, but let them talk long enough, let them interact with long enough, let her start hee hee ha ha, laughing at his jokes and stuff like that, and her starting to actually feel a certain way. He's he's getting in there. He's getting in there. Again, most guys are very visual creatures. We like what we see. So you might think that girl over there is the prettiest thing that you've never seen, and you just visually like her. Again, though, women. Again, this is just general. Women, again, really take in how you're making them feel. You can be the most beautiful person in the world, beautiful man in the world, but if you make that woman feel like shit, or you make her, you turn her off, you dry her up. That's the best way I can say it. If you dry that pussy up, she drying the hell around you. You just start talking and you just immediately turn her off. All of what you look like and your looks and stuff like that, that stuff goes out the door. That stuff like that, it goes out the door. This is why you'll have big guys or fat dudes and stuff like that hooking up with beautiful women, multiple women, successful women and stuff like that. Is because a lot of those times, and not just fat dudes, even the ugly guys, stuff like that, and I'm saying quote ugly guys, is because the guy that was fat, or the guy that was ugly, or the guy that might have been shorter than the rest of the guys, so he didn't stand out. That guy naturally, just growing up, if he wanted to make himself known, had to work on his personality. He had to, in the car business, one of my old managers used to say, you have to kind of shove a person out the way. Well, in order for them to shove a person out the way to make themselves get known, they did it through their personality. And as they worked on that personality, 9 times out of 10 will outshine a guy's physical attributes. So, regardless of let me give you an example. Take a guy like Kevin Hart, and then a guy like, maybe that's not a good example. Just whatever. Just take your average short guy. When I say short guy, I'm talking 5'6", 5'7" and under, whatever. Those guys like that get one. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna use more of a direct example so you guys can actually go look it up, so it doesn't have to be hypothetical. Let me type in something for you guys real quick. I'm not trying to make this too long, but whatever. So I'm gonna type in something real quick. Actually, here we go. This guy right here. I'm using him as an example. I use him too, Timothy DeLaGhetto. But I use Ricky Chucks just to kind of expound upon my point. If you look at him from a physical standpoint, and he said this himself, he is not the most attractive person. Same thing with him, right here in the middle. That's Timothy DeLaGhetto. If you guys don't know who he is, look him up. There's some of his information right there. Timothy DeLaGhetto, Timothy Contaransu, whatever. They'll both tell you that they are not the most physically attractive people. I think he's like 5'3" or 5'4", something like that. He's about 5'8", heavyset, obviously. Now, both of them will tell you they've gotten plenty of pussy. None of them are short of getting pussy. None of them are short. And here let me show you. Um, I'll show you not Tim, Rick's current girl. Matter of fact, she's actually getting pretty famous. So this is his current girl right now. That's his current girl, and he's had past ones that are of the same level. Hold up. Let's let me see. What's her name? Gia. There he is. This is Tim's girl. They just had a baby and stuff like that. But obviously, she's a very pretty woman. And if you want to look up Tim's ex, you can look up Tim's ex. Basically, what I'm saying is that these guys have no trouble getting women. And they were getting women before they had money. So it wasn't the money that caused them to get women. Does that make sense? And it's the same thing that I think Stan kind of goes into as well. How you make that person feel, or not person, how you make that woman feel, how you make that girl feel, is going to go a very, very long way in trying to achieve your end goal, which again is to get laid. Okay, back to the video and stuff. It's getting late, way longer than I want it to be.
And I can really attest to this. If you want to get laid, but you're not a conventionally attractive guy, I mean, I look at myself and I'm like, I don't consider myself conventionally attractive.
I'll be right back, guys. Continue to watch the video. I should be able to bring you back in a second.
Skinny, you know what I'm saying? The slim muscularity that I've achieved is a result of my hard work that I put into it. And facially, I have scarring. I was hit by a fucking semi-truck, so my fucking tooth is cracked and shit. But guess what? I can still get laid. And even though I'm technically ugly, you know what I'm saying? Like my beard doesn't even connect. Like there are 1,000 different excuses that I could use to say, oh, I can't get pussy because of this and this and this and this and this. But realistically, 99% of women, they move based off of the way that they feel about it. They are not as shallow as you would imagine they are, or that you agree in your little circle jerk of dudes and friends and shit who can't get laid anyway. So why the fuck are you taking advice about women from them? That doesn't even make sense. Like, if I was an incel, the first thing that I would be doing is finding a group of guys to model who aren't incels. Because why would you model failure? Like, I guess it's validating the fact that you found a community of other people like you, but like at the end of the day, what does that accomplish? Like, you guys don't have the ability to improve each other. So first of all, I would not be like deifying or glorifying other people who are basically in the same boat as you feel yourself are in. Like, first of all, I would be like, okay, who's the guy that actually gets pussy? And don't look for the guys who look like fucking Brad Pitt. Look for the guys who aren't conventionally attractive, because I guarantee you there is really somebody for everybody. You just have to do the work to develop a personality that is appealing to women, like, or at the very least develop traits and characteristics that are appealing to the women that you find attractive in them.
All right. Now, let's going to quickly touch on this. I want to ask, because he used the phrase develop a personality. And I want to know, and maybe Sam can answer this for me, anybody. Is a personality, let me not say develop, can a personality truly be changed once you get to a certain age or mindset? like I know in children and stuff like that, obviously they're a little bit younger, and so they're just soaking in everything around their environment, and they're um, coming into belief systems and stuff like that. But once those belief systems and everything are ingrained into us and everything like that, how easy is it to really change your personality and who you are without something of a major tragedy happening? So, for example, um, one person's personality might be this way, but then let's say something tragic that's emotionally devastating to them happens, and their way of reacting to that emotion or dealing with that emotion is to close up. Then now their personality has changed. But other than something super major happening, what would be the best way to change that personality? Maybe he gets into this. Just a question. Just a quick little question. All right.
Women that you like. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't fucking matter what you look like. Like, honestly, like, it really doesn't. Not to women. You know what I'm saying? If you're like a gay dude, yeah, it matters because guys are visual and shit. But women, if you have the benefit of being able to date online or whatever, and you don't have something that's medically wrong with you, where you look like, I guess, like somebody hit you in the fucking face with a frying pan and shit, and you don't look like a hills have eye creature and shit. Like you think your chin is too small or your facial structure isn't good and stuff like that. I guarantee you, there are women who definitely don't care about that shit, and there are women who probably find you attractive just like because there's somebody for everybody. There really is. But the fucking secret is that if you always have this mindset that you're unattractive and you're like overly fucking aggressive and misogynistic and like basically all of the traits or whatever that repel women. here's this is the thing that it doesn't that you guys don't seem to be thinking about. You can't Guys who are conventionally attractive, they can get away with having shitty personalities and they can get away with being less interesting and they can get away with being like blatantly, you know, putting women off and like, you know what I'm saying, they can be assholes basically. And you know, to some degree, women do like guys that have a bit of an edge because generally women cannot tell the difference between an alpha and an asshole from a distance. Most of them can't. So what they think is they want a bad boy, but what they're really looking for is a dominant alpha type of guy. And here's the thing. Here's the other thing. Being alpha has nothing to do with your fucking genetics. It has nothing to do with your genes. Being alpha basically just means you know who you are, you own it, and you project confidence with the things that you do. Whatever you're good at, like you could be like the best gamer. You could.
Let me follow up on this. Kevin Samuels uses a acronym CIA when he's talking about high value men, but really he's talking about alphas as well, which stands for confident, intelligent, and assertive. And I think what Stan has said here is 100% true. When it comes to being an alpha, when he's talking about, well, he just explained it. I don't need to really re-explain or anything like that. Um, but I do want to touch on another thing that he also said. He's talking about like the bad boy that a person thinks is an alpha, or the asshole that a person thinks is an alpha that isn't. Because you do have folks that are trying to see how I can see what's the best way to put this. You do have people who are gang members, but and bad boys and do all that stuff that is often associated with alphas, but they themselves are not alpha. A great example of this is like the drug dealer that's living kind of a gang style lifestyle that is dependent or always constantly dependent on someone else to really move forward. So, for example, if they're always staying with their baby moms or always going to their baby mom to borrow like $5 or $10, they're putting on the persona of an alpha. But trust me, they're not alpha. Anyway, let me get back to this.
Be really good at fucking making shit out of wood. You might be like, you know what I'm saying? Whatever your strength is, play to that shit. Play it up, cause that's your angle. You know what I'm saying? Go to find groups that have women that have common interests as you, or something that you're good at. Cause then you know that you guys already have the common interests, and you know that's a place where you shine. You know it's where you're strong at. And if you're doing your thing, you're showing off. You know what I'm saying? You're an alpha in that context. It doesn't fucking have anything to do with guys being like just naturally having like, you know what I'm saying, like, I don't know, wide shoulders and being tall and shit. Because if getting laid was about being tall, I would never gotten laid a day in my fucking life ever. And when I say I'm short, I'm actually short. I don't mean I'm 5'7". If I was 5'7", I would have probably got more women, shit like that. I'm 5'5". So if getting laid was about being tall and about, you know what I'm saying, being muscular and all this other bullshit, it just wouldn't work. I just never accepted that type of shit into my belief system, that I was never gonna get laid just because I don't happen to be. Now, of course, I fucking wish I was like 6'2", like I wish they were 6'2" and shit like that. But once you're here, you have the strengths, you know, that you were given. Like, you might be intelligent, you might have some type of other, you know what I'm saying? Basically, if you want to stop being an incel, and nobody wants to be a fucking incel, if you want to stop being an incel, you have to figure out what your strength is. Find women who will be attracted to you being good at being yourself. And I guarantee you can find a nice little nerd girl.
Now, I want to follow up on this as well. So another person who I started following was a while ago almost now, is a guy named Alpha Male Strategies. And what he always says is stay on your purpose, which I 100% agree with. And that's kind of how I'm interpreting what Stan is saying. Is when he says find what you're good at, and make that your thing. Make chasing whatever it is that you're good at, make that your thing. Don't make trying to chase a woman your thing. Does that make? Hopefully that's making some sense to some folks out there. And I'll follow up more on that thought and stuff and everything like that. I'm gonna get through the video and stuff.
or like if you have like high ass fucking standards, that doesn't even make sense because you're a incel to begin with. So you shouldn't have be thinking that you can have the same standards as someone who's conventionally attractive and may have other redeeming characteristics. Like everybody everybody has degrees of attractiveness and shit like that. But within those degrees of attractiveness, there is
And I do want to follow up on this as well. This has nothing to do with the Hell Incel video. I just want to say that there is no such thing as, to me, as dating out of your league. There's no such thing as dating out of your league. It's all in your head. If you think that you're dating out of your league, then you're going to get the results and the outcomes of a person that thinks that way. But understand, there's no such thing as dating out of your league. There's no such thing. I don't care. I know what some of y'all might have heard. I don't care what you've heard. There is no such thing as dating out of your league. Okay? Cool. Alright. Back to the video.
a lot of room, and there are a lot of people who are, relative to you and where you're at and shit like that. But that's just my perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really, really don't think that it's hopeless for any guy. Like, unless you know what I'm saying? Even I know a guy, he was fucking paralyzed in a fucking wheelchair. Like, he can't even move, and he got like a wife. You know what I'm saying? She was like taking care of him and wiping his ass and shit. Like, I literally saw this shit. Like, why? Because she likes his personality. It's not it's not that he got injured after he met her. It's he was already in that situation where he couldn't even fucking barely move. He can move his hands and he has like a wheelchair and shit like that. And his wife is attractive. His wife is actually attractive. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm just saying, like, you don't have to be hopeless. You don't have to buy into this red pill, black pill bullshit. Like, consider this a green pill, right? Basically. But here's my thing. You're not ever going to get results if you do not do the work to become a man who is attractive. Um, it doesn't have to be physically attractive. That's not the fucking point. But you do have to do the work to develop yourself in certain ways where you can emotionally make a woman feel like this guy is a good choice, because women always have the choice because every guy is always trying to get laid and shit like that. So you do have to stand out. So that means you
Understand. When he says women have the choice, it means women have the choice to the access of their body, aka sex and stuff like that. Men, though, understand you guys have the choice of whether you want to take that stuff to a marriage and everything like that. Because ultimately, you got more women trying to get married to men, but on the other side, you got more men normally trying to lay that one woman. So you have to be competitive in that aspect. All right, back to the video.
need to find something that you're good at. Find your angle, lean into that shit. You don't have to learn pickup artists, game, or any of that bullshit where people, they just want your money and shit. Even though I'm sure to some extent people can find success with that. But, like, it's just like you have to change your mindset in order to get a different life, in order to get different results and shit like that. And you know what? Here's the other thing that I do be noticing. A lot of people who identify as incels and shit, um, they're not even bad looking guys. They're literally not even bad looking guys. Like, I already said this in one of my comments on the fucking video that I made before about Advance. He's not a bad looking guy at all. Like, he's tall, All you had to do was lift some fucking weights. Stop shaving his fucking facial hair. Like change the haircut. Like develop some fucking style, and you know, just shut the fuck up. Like if you notice that women seem to be put off by your attitude and shit like that, if you're saying the wrong things all the time and shit like that, wondering why can't I get results and shit like that, just shut the fuck up. Like learn the right things to say. You know what I'm saying? Like fucking everybody can be socially awkward and shit like that, but that doesn't necessarily repel chicks. There are a lot of awkward women on the planet Earth. Like there's so many different types of women here on Earth. Like, and one or more of them is a perfect fucking match for you. But you're never gonna find her if you're fucking in a forum having a circle jerk with other guys who can't get laid. Like you, you have to take a different approach. Like that's all. Like you know what I'm saying. But anyway, this video is getting kind of long, so I'm gonna end it here. And you know, like I said, like everything begins and ends with you. Like you
I
have
agree
to
with
find
that.
something
100%.
that you have to find that area. You have to find an arena where you shine, um, and you have to change your mindset. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. You know what I'm saying? Like just internalize that. Like nothing is impossible for me. You know what I'm saying? For you, it's not impossible. And getting laid, you know what I'm saying? Like just look at it as you had a long ass dry spell. Like even if it was fucking 10 years, 15 years, 18 years, 20 years, it doesn't matter. In the real world, sometimes people have dry spells. I definitely have dry spells. Like, sometimes, you know what I'm saying, man, I might go 3, 6 months, 8 months or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just it's not happening. You know what I'm saying? But I don't be like, damn, man, it's never gonna happen because I know it's happening. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta be persistent sometimes. Not with one chick, but you just have to keep. Just have to keep on keeping on. And if you
Hey, I want to talk about persistent. So I don't know if you guys ever watched a show called King of the Hill. There's a character on there named Boomhauer, and there's an episode where another character named Bobby Hill is wanting to know Boomhauer's tricks to getting women, and ultimately it's revealed all Boomhauer does is go to pretty much every woman, approach them. If they say no, he shakes it off and it goes to the next one. Guys, when it comes down to stuff like this, you can really just make it a numbers game. And I know because I watched the last video, he said that he's talked to 3,000 women. Personally, I believe that's bullshit. But let's take it at face value. Even if it's 3,000 women, the 3,001st woman might be the one. That's why you always stay persistent, especially if you're trying to, if that is your goal and you really are trying to get laid. Again, personally, I don't recommend necessarily chasing ass. I recommend you staying on whatever purpose that you need to do, stay in your grind, and make sure you get your finances and everything like that straightened out. Make sure that you are good. And I believe that if you do it right, women will start to chase you. You'll start to get what alpha male strategy calls choosy signals. But really, I mean, it's just you'll start to get women that are just interested in you. The thing then would just be to start recognizing that interest, because women like to do little, again, their feelings. So they like to do little subtle ass things to show that they're interested, because again, they don't necessarily like to be super overt about the stuff unless they're in a place where you can be overt, like a club or something like that. And a lot of the times, all that shit is superficial and stuff anyway. Now, again, if you're just trying to get laid or whatever, great, cool, go there, whatever. But understand that there are usually a lot more guys at the club than there are girls, and they have the pick of who they want to screw in that club and stuff. Now, again, if you can get to the point to where y'all can have a good conversation and you could make her feel a certain way, awesome. But understand that if you're just a random guy trying to approach that girl and stuff like that, your chances in those scenarios and stuff like that become very superficial and stuff like that. So, but just in the everyday setting and stuff like that, just stay on your purpose. For real. Just stay on your purpose and just do you. Now, doing you, and again, what I feel like with a lot of these incels or whatever is I feel like they're usually what one of my old no, I actually think this was Orlando, so I'm still currently working with him as a partner. We're called basement weirdos, and um, and they're usually guys that are super socially awkward because they don't get out and they don't put themselves in a position to where they have to work on themselves socially. Um, and again, that goes just kind of back to what Stan was saying is like you just got to put in the work and stuff like that. You have to be willing to put yourself in a vulnerable position to where you can learn, but you also have to be in the position to where you're in the mind state that you are learning and stuff from this. And a lot of those guys usually like they're usually like in IT and stuff like that because in those positions you don't necessarily have to be super sociable. Anyway, back to the video.
You get rejected 3,000 goddamn fucking times. I promise you, it's either you're literally aiming too high, or you must take personal responsibility for your own approach. If you don't, if you don't learn from your mistakes, then you don't improve. And if you don't improve, then obviously, like you don't improve, like you're never gonna get the result that you want. But I guarantee you,
Excuse me.
like, I promise you, you can bet your fucking life there is somebody on this earth that's a woman who will give you some goddamn pussy. Like, all you gotta do is figure out a way to appeal to her emotional state. You know what I'm saying? Don't be boring. You know, find a way to make the things that you are interested in, find a way to make that, even if it's like some type of nerd ass shit. I'm a fucking nerd. You know what I'm saying? I find the women that I connect with best, they're nerds too. We can nerd out together. You know what I'm saying? Like, these women are out there. Like, I really mean that shit. Like, you shouldn't ever feel like it's fucking hopeless. Like, because there are just too many situations where I've seen. Number one, most women date down. Most women date down. Most guys are not as attractive as their girlfriends, which means that she had to see something in them. And it's not just fucking money. It's not just money. It's not just all this typical bullshit that people tell you about. It's literally the only reason that shit is important to an extent is because the idea of a guy who is financially secure makes her feel a certain way. See, it's about emotions. It's not about what the guy actually has. It's about the emotional state that the idea of that is creating within her that makes her attracted to that. So if you can create that emotional state some kind of way, you know what I'm saying? You think that they just like tall, buff guys. That's because they like the idea of a person who is powerful and strong and can keep them safe. You know what I'm saying? Every woman wants to feel secure. They don't want to feel like if a wild bear appears, that you're just like a weak fucking piece of like you're just a fucking useless. They don't want to feel like that. They want to feel like a guy who would fight a bear, even if that's not gonna happen. Even if we got firearms and shit nowadays, that shit doesn't really matter. It still matters on a primal level. So you figure out a way to make her feel secure. You figure out a way to appeal to her emotional state. Make her feel safe. Make her.
Now, and I'm gonna let this video in. Make sure though you're careful. Oh, I mean, if you're just trying to get laid, then yes, appeal to her emotional state. This is just me, just saying. Make sure you're kind of careful with doing that, because this is where you get into kind of the simp territory and the manipulation territory. Guys who are really good, who develop that trait and then get very good at honing in on a woman's emotions and honing in on how to manipulate her through those emotions, they tend to become very I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but very narcissistic. Hopefully I pronounced that right. They tend to be very narcissistic. They tend to be very all they care about is themselves and stuff like that. And that's cool until you end up in a situation like Derek Jackson. If you don't know the situation with Derek Jackson, I highly recommend you go look that up, because he's built himself on catering to a woman's feelings and stuff like that. He's a mastermind when it comes to that stuff. He's very good when it comes to that stuff. But he's built himself on emotionally catering to women, and the catering to women to how they want to be treated and stuff like that. And now it's coming out that, okay, he was saying one thing but living a different way, and now he's having to kind of retract all of that stuff. Now, again, if you're just trying to get laid and stuff like that, it's a tactic that definitely does work. I mean, you can obviously see it out and everything like that, but just understand that it's a very dickish and asshole thing to do. Maybe this will just be, you know what, Alex, I ain't gonna let y'all gonna decide to do what y'all gonna do. Just use this power and use this stuff for some goddamn sense, please. Okay, let me finish out this video.
You feel happy, make her laugh, and not in a bitch ass way where you get friend zoned, but like, you know what I'm saying. Have some goddamn confidence. Like, there's something that you're good at. And if you feel like you're not good at anything, you're wrong. That just means you haven't found it yet. In which case, again, you need to, you know what I'm saying, work on the self-development aspect. Like, you have to improve yourself some kind of way. You must do the work if you want to get results. And I mean, that's pretty much all I gotta say. Like, right now, you know what I'm saying? But, like I said, it's definitely not hopeless. Don't feel like you gotta kill yourself. Don't feel like, you know what I'm saying, you wanna, I don't know, switch sides or whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it might be a process, depending on where you're at. But I guarantee you put in that work, you know what I'm saying, man? Like, look at me, man. I feel like, I'm kind of cute. I'm kind of cute.
We get the fuck off this damn video. Hurry up and get this shit over, Stan.
Got fucking scar tissue, shit like that. Got a fucking look
Funny
like
as hell.
from Naruto and everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and really, let me see, how many goddamn times have I gotten laid, like, since the fucking semi truck accident? You know what I'm saying? Like, bruh, it has not stopped me. It has not stopped me. Like, and I'm entirely sure, you know what I'm saying, that any guy, you know what I'm saying, can get laid. Like, period. Any guy can get laid. but not if you not number one, not if you don't believe you can, and number two, if you're not willing to do the work, and if you're not willing to apply yourself to become someone who is worthy of being chosen. You know what I'm saying? Because regardless what kind of bullshit you tell yourself about, oh, you know what I'm saying, women this, women that, women suck, you want to be chosen. Like you want, you want to reproduce. Like you want to have a family. Like you want to, like, you know what I'm saying. Even if you fucking feel like you hate women, which is like dumb to begin with, like you still want to be chosen. Like you still want to have that as an aspect of your life. Otherwise, you wouldn't be depressed about being an incel to begin with. But you know, that's all I'm gonna say. So yeah,
All right.
peace.
Oh, excuse me. Oh man, I don't know what it is. Some of these drinks and stuff. Uh, Often have cough, like not really from the chest, but from the stomach. I don't know if it's like acid reflux or whatever. Anyway, so I agree with the video. I agree with everything. Like I said, I just added on my little insight and kind of my take on the stuff. But I agree with what he said. I mean, incels are just that, voluntary celibate. That means if they don't want to be celibate, they're trying not to be celibate, but they are. And ultimately, if you want a different outcome, and this can go beyond just incelism or whatever you want to call it. If you want a different outcome in life, you have to start by changing whatever action that you're doing that's generating that outcome. You don't uh, you don't get to change the outcome without changing what's causing the outcome. So if you're an incel, if you're watching this video and you're an incel, you're trying to decipher why you're an incel or why you're not getting women, you really you probably need to go talk to a therapist. I'm not a therapist. But you need to go talk to a therapist, and if you can't afford a therapist or one's not available or whatever, um, maybe, you know what? Here's what you can do. Maybe the next time you talk to a girl and you try to uh, take it from being a friendship to something more intimate, something more sexual, stuff like that, and it doesn't work, ask that girl why it didn't work. Maybe not at that time, but just simply, if you're still in contact with that girl, I'm sure you got, female friends, ask them why it didn't work. Some of them are going to tell you why it didn't work. Take their advice. Take their advice, change what didn't work, apply that, make sure you, again, apply that change, and then go try it again and see how your results go and go from there. Anyway, great video, Stan. Like the content and everything. Once again, you can follow his page right here at the Actualized Man. See his page, share and everything like that. I've got him subscribe to me, like the video and stuff. But yeah, follow him. I'm also going to say follow Alpha Male Strategies, follow AMS, follow Alpha Male Strategies, AMS, follow Kevin Samuels. I would also say follow, you can see the Fresh Fit up there. They're pretty good to follow too, as far as, getting out that mindset. But really, guys, it's really just, another tidbit that I want to add on to here. I was wrapping up, but I actually got something else that I really actually add on to this. Get a sales position. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to say, and I normally wouldn't do this, but screw it. It's a high terminal position anyway. Go get a car sales position. Look on Craigslist. Especially if you're in a bigger town, they're always hiring. Go get a car sales position, and put yourself around some competitive guys and interact with them. you need to be able to put yourself in a position to where you're in a group of competitive people, so you yourself can bring out that competitive nature in yourself. That'll help you out and go a long way. At the same time, if you're in a sales position and stuff like that, and you're developing your sales skills and everything, you're going to naturally develop your social skills, because a good salesperson is always going to be a good sociable person. There's no such thing as a great salesman that's not a great sociable person. Even if it's just in the constraints of that product or in the constraints of that specific sale, you're still developing. You're still developing um, talking characteristics and characteristics on how to actually get a conversation going and keep a conversation going and stuff like that. Anyway, though, once again, from my guy, Actualized Man, Stan, right here. And once again, thank y'all for tuning into my page. This is Ken, the Godson, and checking out. Peace.